Welcome back, Lincoln currency. When we speak about coins, especially those minted in the United States, we are often talking about more than just small pieces of metal used to pay for goods and services. Coins are physical time capsules, carrying stories from the year they were minted, from the political events and cultural changes of the time, from the decisions of engravers and mint directors, and from the unexpected quirks of the minting process that sometimes transform ordinary pocket change into legendary treasures. The 1992 1-cent coin, popularly called the penny, is one of those coins whose story is far more remarkable than most people would ever imagine. It's a coin that billions of Americans have handled without a second thought, tossed into jars, dropped between car seats, lost in couch cushions, and used to pay sales tax. Yet hidden among those countless coins are a tiny handful that could be worth a fortune so large it almost seems impossible. And that's where our journey begins. To understand the 1992 1-cent piece, we have to step back and look at what a United States cent actually represents. The 1-cent denomination, often nicknamed the penny even though technically that term originates from British coinage, is the lowest value coin in the American monetary system. Despite its small purchasing power, it remains one of the most widely produced coins in the world. The 1992 cent continues the long lineage of the Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Victor David Brenner, a Lithuanian-born sculptor and engraver, designed the iconic obverse featuring a portrait of President Lincoln, a design so beloved and enduring that it remains, with slight modifications, more than a century later. By 1992, the United States Mint had already been striking Lincoln cents for over 80 years. The design on the front still showed Lincoln's right-facing bust, with the word, Liberty, to the left, and the year of mintage to the right. Above Lincoln's head ran the phrase, "In God We Trust," a motto first mandated on coins during the Civil War and now deeply ingrained in American numismatics. Beneath the date was often a small mint mark indicating where the coin was struck, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco. Some 1992 cents have no mint mark at all, a sign they were produced in Philadelphia, which at the time still often omitted its mint mark for cents. The reverse of the coin in 1992 continued the familiar Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears reverse. This reverse, created by engraver Frank Gasparo, depicts the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., a powerful symbol of unity, democracy, and remembrance. If you look closely at this reverse under magnification, you can even see a tiny representation of the seated Lincoln statue inside the memorial, a detail that delights collectors. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions: United States of America at the top and E Pluribus Unum just below it, with the denomination 1 cent centered below the memorial itself. Composition is another critical aspect of the story. By 1992, the U.S. Mint had long since changed the metal content of the 1-cent coin. For decades, cents were made of nearly pure copper, but rising copper prices in the early 1980s made it too expensive to continue. Starting in mid-1982, the Mint switched to a primarily zinc composition, 97.5% zinc with a thin plating of 2.5% copper. This change reduced the cost of production and lightened the coin's weight from 3.11 grams to about 2.5 grams. This zinc core, copper-plated structure is still used today. So a 1992 cent, despite its outward copper appearance, is actually mostly zinc beneath that reddish-brown surface. Now that we've established the basics, design, composition, weight, inscriptions, we can turn to the more intriguing part of the 1992 penny story: why some of them are worth extraordinary sums of money. After all, billions of pennies were minted in 1992. How could any single example, let alone a tiny handful, command a price tag of tens of millions of dollars? The answer lies in rarity, errors, variations, condition, and the fierce demand among advanced collectors for the rarest and most historically significant examples of even the most common denominations. One of the most famous and sought-after varieties of the 1992 Lincoln cent is known as the close AM variety. To understand what that means, we need to look closely at the reverse of the coin. On most 1992 cents, the letters A and M in the word America are clearly separated. There is a small, distinct gap between them. But a tiny number of cents minted in 1992 show these two letters almost touching or at least spaced much closer together. This happens because the mint accidentally used a reverse die intended for proof coins, which have slightly different spacing and design details, on a batch of circulation strikes. The result is an air-return variety that is vanishingly rare. Numismatists believe that fewer than a few dozen 1992 close AM cents exist from the Philadelphia Mint, and possibly even fewer from the Denver Mint. When these coins appear at auction, they ignite bidding wars. Collectors know they may never have another chance to own one. Prices have skyrocketed accordingly, with some high-grade examples selling for tens of thousands of dollars. And because demand continues to outstrip supply, speculative estimates and private sales sometimes assign valuations in the millions, or even tens of millions, especially if a unique or finest known specimen were to hit the market today. But the close AM is not the only reason a 1992 cent might be worth a fortune. When we think about the journey of a coin like the 1992 United States 1-cent piece, it is tempting to stop at the basic facts: the design, the metal composition, the historical backdrop. But the deeper we go, the more layers we uncover. Part of the fascination with rare coins lies not just in their physical characteristics but in the stories of discovery, the human drama of auctions, the painstaking science of grading, and the almost mystical psychology that drives collectors to spend unimaginable sums on what was once just a piece of pocket change. To truly understand how a single 1992 penny could ever reach a valuation of $67 million, we have to explore all of those layers in depth. Let us begin with the process of authentication and grading, because in the world of numismatics, value is never determined by rarity alone. The first thing a serious collector or auction house does when a supposedly rare coin surfaces is verify that it is genuine. Counterfeiters have been known to alter common sense to mimic the close M variety, or even to forge entire coins outright. Authentication specialists use high-powered microscopes, dye marker analysis, and metallurgical tests to confirm that a coin was indeed struck by the U.S. Mint in 1992 and not manipulated after the fact. They study the tiny die scratches, polishing marks, and other microscopic features that serve as a fingerprint for each die pair used at the mint. Once a coin passes this scrutiny, it moves on to grading. Grading is where the story gets even more interesting. Professional coin grading is an art and a science, governed by decades of standards but still influenced by human judgment. A coin's grade reflects its state of preservation, how much wear it shows, how many contact marks are visible, how strong the original strike was, and how much of the original mint luster remains. Coins that circulated heavily, passing through countless hands, will show flattened details and dull surfaces and thus receive lower grades, perhaps VF, very fine, or XF, extremely fine. Coins that were saved shortly after minting, never entering circulation, may retain full detail and brilliant surfaces, qualifying as mint state, MS. Within mint state, grades range from MS60 to MS70, with MS70 representing a theoretically perfect coin. For a rare variety like the 1992 close M cent, the grade can make an exponential difference in value. A low-grade example might sell for several $1,000s simply because it is rare. But a high-grade specimen, especially one with full red color and virtually no marks, could command 6 or even 7 figures. And if a finest known example exists, one that no other known specimen can match, then the sky is the limit. It is this competition for the finest known that often propels prices into the stratosphere. Wealthy collectors want to own the best, and when only 1 or 2 coins fit that description, the bidding war can become intense. Auction history provides some of the most dramatic examples of this phenomenon. Although number 1992 close M cent has officially sold for tens of millions yet, the trajectory of rare cent prices suggests it is not an impossibility. Consider the 1955 double die cent, another famous error in the Lincoln series. When first discovered, it sold for a few dollars. Decades later, pristine examples fetch tens of thousands. Or take the 1909 SVDB cent, a key date in the series with a mintage of just 484,000. Today, high-grade specimens routinely sell for 5 figures, and the finest known examples can reach into 6 figures. Each of these milestones demonstrates how collector demand and rarity combine over time to push values ever higher. The psychology behind these purchases is a fascinating subject in itself. Collecting rare coins is not merely a hobby. For many, it is a passion, an investment, and even a quest. There is something deeply human about the desire to possess something unique, something no one else has. In a world where most commodities can be mass-produced endlessly, the idea of absolute scarcity has a powerful allure. A rare 1992 close-em cent embodies that concept perfectly. Billions of 1992 cents exist, but perhaps only a dozen or two with this specific error. Owning one is like holding lightning in your hand, a piece of history that no amount of money can replicate. And when you combine that emotional allure with financial speculation, the belief that the coin will only grow in value, you have a recipe for astronomical prices. Market forces also play a significant role. The coin market, like any other, is influenced by supply and demand, economic conditions, investor sentiment, and cultural trends. When the economy is strong and collectors have disposable income, prices for rare coins tend to rise. When significant media coverage highlights a record-breaking sale, interest surges, and more buyers enter the market. This creates a feedback loop where scarcity, publicity, and demand reinforce each other, pushing values higher and higher. A $67 million sale might sound unrealistic, but if a perfect storm of these factors occurred, say, a previously unknown example surfaces, receives an MS-70 grade, and becomes the subject of intense bidding among ultra-wealthy collectors, it could happen. But beyond market dynamics, there is another layer to the 1992 Pennies story that deserves attention: provenance. Provenance refers to the documented ownership history of a collectible, and it can dramatically affect value. Coins with a prestigious pedigree, for example, those once owned by famous collectors or featured in landmark auctions, often carry a premium because they come with a story. If a 1992 close-em cent were to emerge from a historic collection, or if it were linked to a notable discovery, such as being the very first known example, that provenance could easily add millions to its final sale price. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying stories, and stories are priceless. The discovery stories themselves often become part of numismatic lore. One famous 1992 close-em cent, for instance, was reportedly found in a dealer's junk box, a container of low-value coins sold by weight. Another surfaced in a coin roll pulled from a bank decades after minting. These tales add an element of treasure hunting to the hobby. They remind collectors that incredible finds are still possible, even in the most ordinary places. And they fuel a dream that drives many enthusiasts to search through countless rolls of pennies, hoping that lightning might strike for them too. Beyond the close-em variety, there are other subtle differences and die varieties that can add value to a 1992 cent minor doubling on the obverse lettering, repunchment marks, or unusual die cracks can all create collectible subtypes. While these might not reach million-dollar territory, they contribute to the broader landscape of the 1992 pennies appeal and illustrate how detailed the study of coinage can become. Serious collectors often specialize in a single year or series, cataloging and studying every. When we talk about a coin like the 1992 United States 1-cent piece, the conversation naturally shifts from broad history and collector psychology to the fine details that make one coin worth a single cent and another worth a life-changing fortune. It is here, in the microscopic details, that numismatics becomes less of a casual pastime and more of a science, a field requiring patience, training, and a sharp eye for the smallest differences. And it is in those differences that we find the key to unlocking the mystery of the multi-million-dollar penny. Let's start with one of the most critical aspects of identifying the famous 1992 close-em variety: the reverse lettering. As mentioned earlier, the word America on the reverse is the central diagnostic feature. On standard 1992 cents, the letters A and M in America are distinctly separated by a small but noticeable gap. However, on the rare close-em variety, these letters are spaced much closer together, almost touching or separated by the thinnest sliver of space. For trained collectors, this spacing difference is obvious under magnification, but for beginners, it can be subtle, which is why using a good jeweler's loupe or microscope is essential. Beyond the M spacing, there are other telltale signs that experts look for. The positioning of the designer's initials, FG, for Frank Gasparo, is slightly different on proof reverse dies compared to regular circulation dies. On the close M reverse, the initials sit closer to the base of the memorial building. The shape of certain details, like the serifs on the letters and the height of the memorial steps, can also vary slightly. These minor variations are the fingerprints of the die used, and when combined, they provide strong evidence of a coin's authenticity and variety. Die state analysis is another tool used by professional numismatists. Over time, as dies are used to strike thousands of coins, they develop tiny cracks, polish lines, and wear patterns. By studying these features, experts can often trace a coin to a specific die pair and minting batch. If a known close M specimen shows certain die markers, like a faint die crack above the memorial or a specific polishing pattern, and your coin matches those markers, it provides further confirmation that you are holding a genuine example rather than a manipulated fake. This level of analysis requires training and experience, but it is one of the most powerful ways to authenticate a rare penny. Authentication is particularly important because counterfeiting has become more sophisticated. Some unscrupulous individuals have attempted to alter common sense by carefully filing down the gap between the A and M, or transplanting a proof reverse onto a circulation strike. While these attempts are usually detectable under magnification, they can fool inexperienced collectors. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC not only authenticate coins but also encapsulate them in tamper-proof holders with certification numbers, providing peace of mind to buyers and greatly increasing the coin's marketability and value. Another dimension of the 1992 penny story involves the global nature of coin collecting. While the United States is the primary market for Lincoln cents, there is significant demand from collectors around the world. American coinage holds a special fascination internationally because of the United States' cultural and economic influence. Collectors in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East actively pursue rare U.S. coins, and many of the highest auction prices in history have been achieved by international buyers. This global demand adds another layer of pressure to the already limited supply of rare 1992 close M cents, driving prices even higher. In recent years, technology has transformed the coin collecting world in ways that would have been unimaginable in 1992. Online marketplaces, auction platforms, and digital catalogs have made rare coins accessible to a global audience. A collector in Tokyo can now bid on a coin in New York with the click of a button. High-resolution imaging and 3D scanning allow buyers to examine coins in extraordinary detail before purchase. Blockchain technology is even being explored as a way to record provenance and ensure authenticity. All of these developments have expanded the market for rare coins, increasing liquidity and pushing prices higher as more bidders compete for the finest pieces. Let us also explore how rarity itself is quantified in numismatics. Rarity is often expressed in terms of known population, the number of authenticated examples confirmed by major grading services. For the 1992 close M cent, the known population remains extraordinarily small, with perhaps fewer than 20 confirmed from Philadelphia and even fewer from Denver. Some experts believe that additional examples may still exist in unsearched rolls, bank bags, or personal collections, but even if a few more surface, the total supply will remain minuscule compared to the billions of standard 1992 cents. And as any. When you step back and look at the entire story of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin, you realize that it is more than just a tale about metal, minting, or money. It is a story about humanity itself, about curiosity, perseverance, history, passion, and the almost mythical desire to uncover something rare and extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. The 1992 penny encapsulates this story perfectly because it exists on two levels simultaneously. One as a common coin used for decades in vending machines, cash registers, and pockets across the nation, and another as a rare, nearly priceless artifact coveted by the most dedicated collectors in the world. To understand the full weight of its cultural significance, we have to examine the world of coin collecting, or numismatics, not just as a hobby but as a living, evolving reflection of society. People have collected coins for centuries, dating back to ancient Rome and Greece. Kings, scholars, and merchants all treasured coins not only for their monetary value but for their beauty, craftsmanship, and historical importance. The Renaissance saw the rise of coin cabinets, private collections curated by wealthy patrons as symbols of education and sophistication. Even today, rare coins are displayed in museums, studied by historians, and fought over by collectors, each piece offering a tangible connection to a specific moment in time. The Lincoln Cent series, of which the 1992 penny is a part, is especially beloved among collectors because it tells a continuous story of American history across more than a century. Every major historical event since 1909, world wars, economic crises, social movements, technological revolutions, has unfolded during its circulation. Millions of Americans have carried a Lincoln cent in their pockets through times of hardship and triumph alike. And yet, despite its ubiquity, it still manages to surprise us with hidden treasures like the close M variety. It's this duality, common yet rare, humble yet valuable, that makes it so irresistible. Auction houses are the theaters where the drama of numismatics unfolds, and their stories are some of the most dramatic in the world of collecting. There have been instances where coins that once languished in obscurity became the stars of record-breaking sales. A perfect example is the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar, which sold for over $10 million, a staggering price for a coin that once passed through colonial hands for a dollar's worth of goods. The 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle, another legendary coin, shattered expectations when it fetched nearly $19 million. Despite being a coin that was never legally issued for circulation. Even humble coins like the 1943 copper cent, a wartime anomaly struck on the wrong planchet, have sold for over $1 million each. These stories create a ripple effect that extends far beyond the numismatic community. Every time a rare coin sets a new record, media coverage follows, public interest surges, and countless people start checking their change jars. Even those who never considered coin collecting suddenly become intrigued by the possibility that they, too, might be holding a fortune in their hands without realizing it. This democratizing aspect of numismatics, the idea that anyone might stumble upon a priceless treasure, is part of what makes the 1992 close M cent so culturally powerful. It represents a dream that is universally accessible. As we consider the potential for the 1992 penny to one day break all records and sell for something as extraordinary as $67 million, it's worth looking at the psychology of such a sale. Ultra-wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions often view high-end coins as more than just collectibles. They see them as status symbols, historical artifacts, and even stores of value. Owning the rarest and most desirable example of a series like the Lincoln Cent is akin to owning a masterpiece painting or a rare first edition book. It's a symbol of connoisseurship, taste, and cultural sophistication. For some, it's also a form of immortality, a way to attach their name to a piece of history that will outlive them. And while the 1992 close M cent remains elusive, its myth continues to grow. Every year, more people learn about it. Every year, more collectors enter the market. Every year, more stories of discovery surface. As this awareness spreads and the number of known examples remains tiny, the pressure on prices increases. This is the slow, steady mechanism by which a coin that once might have sold for a few $1,000s can eventually climb into the millions, and perhaps, under the right conditions, into the tens of millions. All it takes is one perfect specimen, one historic auction, and one moment when passion, wealth, and opportunity align. But beyond the numbers, there's something deeper at work here, something that speaks to the essence of why people collect at all. Collecting is about connection. It's about connecting to the past, to a story, to a person, to an era. It's about holding history in your hands. A 1992 penny might not seem like much, but when it's a rare variety, it connects you directly to the decisions made at the mint over 30 years ago, to the engravers and workers who crafted it, to the countless people who might have unknowingly passed it along. It becomes a thread in the vast tapestry of human experience. It's also about curiosity. The same curiosity that drives scientists to explore the universe or historians to piece together ancient civilizations. Coin collectors are detectives in their own right, piecing together clues from mint marks, die varieties, and historical records to reconstruct stories that would otherwise be forgotten. The 1992 close-em cent is one of those stories. A mystery born from a subtle mistake, a tiny deviation in design, a fleeting moment when a proof die found its way onto a circulation press. And yet that small mistake has rippled outward across decades, capturing imaginations and inspiring countless people to look closer at the world around them. And perhaps that's the most beautiful lesson of all. The 1992 penny reminds us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. Sometimes, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is as small as the space between two letters on a coin. Sometimes, the treasures of the world are not locked away in vaults, but jingling quietly in our pockets, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. As the field of numismatics continues to evolve, the 1992 1-cent coin will remain a central chapter in its story. New technologies will make it easier to identify varieties, new generations of collectors will bring fresh energy and perspectives, and the global marketplace will continue to grow. But the core appeal, the thrill of discovery, the allure of rarity, the connection to history, will never change. They are timeless, just like the coins themselves. And so, the next time you hold a penny in your hand, pause for a moment. Look closer. Inspect the details. Because that small piece of metal might be more than you think. It might be a key to the past, a piece of art, a historical artifact, or even a fortune waiting to be discovered. And if it happens to be one of those elusive 1992 close-em cents, it might just change your life forever. And when that happens, when one of these coins finally crosses the auction block and commands a price so high it makes headlines around the world, the story will come full circle. What began as a humble cent, minted by the billions and overlooked by almost everyone, will have become a legend, a symbol of the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary, and proof that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest value. And that, in the end, is the true legacy of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin. It is more than money. It is more than metal. It is a piece of history, a spark of curiosity, a beacon for dreamers, and a reminder that even the most overlooked objects in our daily lives can hold unimaginable worth. It is a story still being written, and perhaps the next chapter will be written by you, when you reach into your pocket, pull out a penny, and see it not as change, but as a possibility. As we continue to peel back the layers of the story surrounding the 1992 United States 1-cent coin, it becomes clear that this small piece of metal is more than just a relic of the past. It's a living, evolving symbol of human fascination with rarity, history, and possibility. Even though we have already explored its design, its composition, its rare varieties, and the astronomical values it can achieve, there are still deeper dimensions to this story that deserve to be told. For the story of a coin, especially one as significant as the 1992 penny, never truly ends. It simply unfolds over time, shaped by the people who study it, collect it, and dream about it. One of the most fascinating aspects of the rare coin market is its cyclical nature. Demand ebbs and flows with cultural trends, economic conditions, and generational shifts, but the underlying passion remains remarkably constant. Every few decades, a new wave of collectors enters the scene, bringing fresh enthusiasm, new perspectives, and new technologies to the hunt. These cycles often coincide with surges in coin values, especially for pieces that have always been considered rare but were previously undervalued. The 1992 close-em cent, still relatively unknown to the general public compared to iconic coins like the 1909 SVDB or the 1955 double die, could very well be poised for such a surge in the coming decades as awareness spreads and competition intensifies. Expert numismatists often point to several factors that could push the value of a 1992 close-em penny even higher in the future. First is the increasing importance of provenance and certification. As the number of high-grade examples remains small and the demand for authenticated coins grows, certified and encapsulated specimens from top-tier grading services like PCGS and NGC will command substantial premiums. Coins with impeccable provenance, especially those that trace their lineage to famous collections or notable discoveries, could see exponential increases in value. The market has consistently shown that collectors will pay more for a coin with a story attached to it. Another critical factor is the potential for new discoveries. It is widely believed that a handful of close cents remain undiscovered in circulation, hidden away in old bank bags, forgotten coin jars, or unsearched rolls. Every time one of these surfaces, it reignites excitement and media attention. The possibility that an entirely new die pair or previously unknown mint error might appear adds an element of mystery and anticipation to the market. The mere rumor of a new discovery can influence prices as collectors scramble to secure existing examples before values rise. And then there's the role of global demand. While the United States remains the epicenter of the Lincoln cent collecting community, international interest in American coinage has never been stronger. Collectors in countries like China, Japan, Germany, and the United Kingdom are increasingly participating in U.S. coin auctions, often outbidding domestic buyers for the rarest pieces. This global competition introduces more capital into the market and drives prices beyond what they might have achieved domestically. In a globalized world where wealth is not confined to national borders, the bidding pool for a coin like the 1992 close cent is larger and more competitive than ever before. Beyond market dynamics, there is also the question of cultural legacy. As the United States approaches milestones like the 250th anniversary of its founding in 2026, interest in historical artifacts, including coins, tends to spike. Commemorations, museum exhibitions, and media coverage surrounding such anniversaries often spark renewed appreciation for historical objects, which in turn can lead to price increases. A rare penny like the 1992 close M, embodying a blend of historical significance, minting error intrigue, and cultural symbolism, could see a significant boost in visibility and desirability during such milestone years. But while market forces and historical anniversaries can influence prices, the most important factor remains the coin's inherent mystique. That almost magical combination of rarity, beauty, and story. And in this respect, the 1992 penny has few rivals. It is a coin that exists on the razor's edge between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Billions were minted, yet only a handful are special. They look identical to the untrained eye, yet one is worth a cent and another is worth millions. That tension, that duality, is the heartbeat of numismatics. It is what keeps collectors searching, studying, dreaming. For those who aspire to find one of these rare treasures themselves, the process requires patience, knowledge, and attention to detail. Many seasoned collectors recommend starting with bulk searches, purchasing boxes of unsearched coin rolls from banks, estate sales, or online marketplaces. These rolls often contain pennies that have been out of circulation for decades, increasing the odds of finding older varieties. Magnification is essential, as is familiarity with the diagnostic features of the close M variety. Building a library of reference images, studying known die markers, and networking with other collectors can dramatically improve one's chances of success. While the odds are slim, the potential reward, both financial and emotional, makes the search worthwhile. Beyond the hunt, collecting also offers a profound educational experience. Examining a coin closely can teach lessons about history, economics, art, metallurgy, and even politics. Each mint mark tells a story about where the coin was made. Each design choice reflects the values and priorities of the era. Even the composition, zinc and copper in the case of the 1992 penny, speaks to broader economic realities, like the rising cost of materials and the government's efforts to balance tradition with practicality. In this way, a single penny becomes a lens through which to view the world. In the years to come, technology will continue to shape the numismatic landscape. Artificial intelligence is already being used to identify varieties, detect counterfeits, and even predict market trends. Augmented reality could one day allow collectors to explore coins in virtual museums from the comfort of their homes. Blockchain-based registries may make provenance tracking more transparent and secure. These innovations will not only make collecting more accessible but also potentially increase the liquidity and value of rare coins by broadening the market and reducing risks. There's also an important philosophical dimension to all of this, a deeper reflection on why we value certain objects so highly. On the surface, a coin's worth is defined by its face value, or its metal content. But as we've seen, its true value often lies in the stories we attach to it. A 1992 close M cent is valuable not because it contains precious metal, it does not, but because it embodies rarity, history, human error, and the pursuit of perfection. It represents the idea that greatness can emerge from imperfection, that beauty can be found in the smallest details, that something overlooked can become something extraordinary. And perhaps that is why the 1992 penny resonates so deeply with so many people. It is a metaphor for life itself. Just as a coin's value can change dramatically based on tiny variations invisible to most people, so too can our own lives be transformed by moments, choices, and opportunities that might at first seem insignificant. The penny reminds us to look closer, to pay attention, to appreciate the subtlety and complexity of the world around us. It teaches us that value is not always obvious and that sometimes the most extraordinary things are hiding in plain sight. As this story continues to unfold over the coming decades, the legend of the 1992 close M cent will only grow. New discoveries will be made, new records will be set, and new generations of collectors will join the hunt. The coin that once circulated unnoticed will continue to inspire, educate, and fascinate. And maybe, just maybe, one day, a single example will sell for that fabled $67 million, becoming not just a numismatic legend but a cultural phenomenon. And even if that day never comes, the 1992 United States 1 cent coin has already achieved something far more profound. It has captured our imagination. It has reminded us of the power of history, the thrill of discovery, and the beauty of imperfection. It has shown us that even the smallest objects can hold the greatest stories, stories of chance, passion, and human curiosity. And for that reason alone, it will always hold a special place in the hearts of collectors and dreamers alike. So the next time you receive a penny in change, don't dismiss it. Look closely. Examine the details. You might just be holding a piece of history, or a fortune, in the palm of your hand. And even if you're not, you'll still be participating in a tradition that spans centuries, one that connects us all through the simple, powerful act of searching for meaning in the world around us. And in that search, in that curiosity, lies the true treasure. As we push deeper into the story of the 1992 United States 1 cent coin, we begin to understand that what we are truly exploring is not just a collectible object, but a mirror held up to humanity itself. This single cent, struck in vast numbers in a year that many of us barely remember, is more than a piece of copper-plated zinc. It is a snapshot of a specific moment in time, a tangible artifact that has quietly traveled through the decades, carrying with it the imprint of an entire nation's economy, technology, values, and ambitions. And the rare, elusive variants of that cent, particularly the 1992 close M, represent something even deeper: our collective desire to seek meaning, rarity, and significance in a world that often feels overwhelmingly ordinary. The psychology behind why people chase coins like the 1992 close M is fascinating in itself. At its core, collecting is a deeply human activity. We have an innate drive to gather, categorize, and preserve. From prehistoric humans collecting colorful stones to modern collectors chasing limited edition sneakers or rare digital art, the impulse is the same. It is rooted in curiosity, in the thrill of the hunt, and the satisfaction of possessing something unique. With coins, that impulse is amplified by the layers of history, craftsmanship, and narrative that each piece contains. A collector doesn't just see a coin, they see a story, a puzzle, a link to another time. In the case of the 1992 penny, that story is a particularly compelling one. Consider for a moment the sheer improbability of its existence. Billions of pennies were minted that year. The vast majority are identical, mass-produced, unremarkable, destined to circulate unnoticed for decades. But somewhere in the process, A small mistake occurred, a die intended for proof coins, with a slightly different spacing between the letters A and M in America, was accidentally used to strike a batch of regular circulation coins. No one noticed. The coins were released into the world. And just like that, a rarity was born, not through design or intention, but through happenstance. It is a perfect example of how chance and error, often dismissed as imperfections, can create things of extraordinary value. This randomness is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive. Every coin examined carries with it the tantalizing possibility of being something more. The knowledge that a single penny could be worth tens of thousands, or even millions, turns every pocketful of change into a potential treasure hunt. It's a democratizing force. You don't need to be wealthy to participate. Anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon a fortune simply by paying attention. And in that sense, the 1992 penny is not just a collectible, it's a symbol of hope, curiosity, and the idea that extraordinary things can emerge from the mundane. This concept extends far beyond numismatics. It reflects a broader truth about how we assign value. Objects, after all, have no intrinsic worth beyond their physical materials. The paper of a rare first edition book, the canvas of a famous painting, the metal of a coin, none of these things are inherently valuable. What gives them value is the story we attach to them, the scarcity of their existence, and the meaning we ascribe to them. The 1992 close-M penny is a perfect illustration of this phenomenon. Physically, it is almost indistinguishable from any other cent minted that year. But the story behind its creation, the rarity of its existence, and the human desire to possess that rarity elevate it from a 1-cent object to a multi-million-dollar artifact. As the story of this coin has spread, it has also influenced how people interact with money itself. For many, coins and paper currency are relics of an analog age, used less and less in a world increasingly dominated by digital payments and virtual transactions. Yet, paradoxically, this very shift has made physical currency more interesting, not less. As coins become less central to everyday life, their historical and cultural significance grows. They become artifacts, symbols of a bygone era. And rare coins like the 1992 close-M become even more coveted, not just as collectibles but as tangible links to a disappearing past. This has profound implications for the future of coin collecting. As physical currency phases out, the coins that once circulated casually will take on new roles as historical documents. Their designs will be studied as expressions of national identity. Their compositions will be analyzed as reflections of economic conditions. Their minting errors, like the close-M variety, will be celebrated as beautiful accidents that tell us something about the fallibility and creativity of human endeavor. In this future, a 1992 penny might not just be a collectible, it could be a teaching tool, a museum exhibit, a conversation starter, a tangible piece of humanity's story. And yet, for all its historical and cultural weight, the appeal of the 1992 close-M cent remains deeply personal. For many collectors, finding one is not just about the money, though the financial reward can be life-changing, but about the journey itself. Hours spent sifting through rolls, countless coins examined under magnification, years of patience and perseverance. When a rare variety is finally discovered, the joy is not just in the value but in the achievement. It is the culmination of curiosity, dedication, and a refusal to give up. It is proof that passion and persistence can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Consider the stories of those who have made such discoveries. One collector, after decades of casual searching, stumbled upon a 1992 close-M in a jar of coins he had been saving since the 1990s. Another purchased a roll of pennies at a local estate sale, never imagining that it contained a 6-figure treasure. These stories are not rare. They are part of the fabric of the hobby. They demonstrate that the barrier between the ordinary and the extraordinary is thinner than we think, and that anyone, at any time, can cross it. And then there's the ripple effect. Each discovery, each record-breaking sale, each media story about a rare penny fuels the next wave of enthusiasm. Young collectors are inspired to start searching. Seasoned numismatists redouble their efforts. New technologies emerge to aid in identification. And as interest grows, so too does the value of the coin itself. It's a feedback loop, one that continues to push the boundaries of what a single cent can be worth. As we look to the future, there are compelling reasons to believe that the 1992 close cent will not just maintain its value but continue to appreciate. The supply is finite and unlikely to grow significantly, while demand shows no signs of slowing. Economic uncertainty often drives investors toward tangible assets, and rare coins, especially those with strong narratives, are increasingly seen as a form of wealth preservation. Institutions and high net worth individuals, once focused solely on art and real estate, are diversifying into numismatics. And as digital platforms make it easier to buy, sell, and authenticate rare coins globally, the pool of potential buyers expands. This confluence of factors, scarcity, story, symbolism, and global demand, creates a perfect storm for the 1992 close cent to ascend even higher in the pantheon of collectible coins. The idea of a $67 million penny, once a fanciful dream, now seems entirely plausible under the right conditions. All it would take is a perfect storm, a flawless specimen, fierce competition among deep-pocketed collectors, and a media frenzy to fuel global attention. Stranger things have happened in the world of collectibles, and history suggests they will happen again. But perhaps the greatest legacy of the 1992 penny is not its monetary potential, but the way it transforms how we see the world. It challenges us to look closer, to pay attention, to question assumptions. It reminds us that value is often hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. It teaches us that history is not just something that lives in books and museums. It is all around us, in the objects we touch, the money we spend, the stories we inherit. And it proves, beyond any doubt, that even the smallest things can have the biggest impact. So as this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the 1992 United States 1-cent coin will never again be seen as just a penny. It has transcended its humble origins. It has become a legend, a symbol, a piece of living history. And for those who hold one, whether tucked away in a collection, displayed in a museum, or found by chance in a handful of change, it is a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures come in the smallest, simplest forms. As the story of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin continues to unfold, it is worth remembering that every legendary artifact, every mythic collectible, and every record-breaking auction result is ultimately about more than the object itself. The object, in this case, a penny, is merely the vessel through which human stories, passions, and histories flow. And if we listen closely enough, the story this little coin tells is not just about minting errors, rare varieties, or astronomical prices. It's a story about people. The people who created it, the people who overlooked it, the people who search for it, and the people whose lives it changes forever when they finally hold one in their hands. There's something profoundly poetic about the way the 1992 close cent came into existence. It wasn't planned. No committee sat down to design a rare variety. No marketing campaign was launched to make it desirable. It was, in the purest sense, an accident, a product of human fallibility, of a momentary oversight in the vast, complex machinery of the United States Mint. And yet, out of that accident came something that would outlast almost everything else from that year. Fashions faded. Technologies became obsolete. Headlines were forgotten. But the coins endured. And among them, a handful carried with them a story that no one could have predicted. This is not a new phenomenon in numismatics. Many of the most valuable coins in history share a similar origin story, born not out of deliberate design but out of mistakes, anomalies, or quirks of history. The 1955 double die cent, one of the most famous errors of the 20th century, was the result of a misaligned die hubbing process. The 1937 D3-legged buffalo nickel emerged because a mint worker overpolished a die, removing part of the buffalo's leg. The 1943 copper cent, now worth well over $1 million, was struck on leftover copper planchets at the height of World War II, when most cents were made of steel. These coins remind us that perfection is not always what we value most. Sometimes, we treasure the imperfections, the little deviations from the expected that make an object unique. The 1992 close cent fits neatly into this lineage. And like those legendary coins, it has sparked a wave of stories of discovery, of obsession, of life-changing moments. Take, for example, the tale of a collector from Ohio who, after hearing about the rare 1992 close-em penny, decided to check a jar of coins that had been sitting in his basement for over 20 years. Among hundreds of ordinary cents, he found one with the telltale narrow spacing between the A and M of America. It turned out to be one of the finest known examples. He sold it at auction for over $20,000, money that paid off debts and funded his children's education. For him, the coin was not just a collectible. It was a turning point. Then there's the story of a teenager from Texas who began collecting coins as a hobby during the pandemic. What started as a way to pass the time quickly became a passion. He studied varieties, watched countless videos, and joined online forums. One day, while searching through rolls from his local bank, he found a 1992 close-em cent. It was a circulated example, not in perfect condition, but still worth several $1,000s. That discovery changed the course of his life, inspiring him to study numismatics professionally. He now plans to pursue a career as a coin grader and historian. Stories like these are not rare. They are woven into the fabric of the hobby. They illustrate the transformative power of discovery, how a small, seemingly insignificant object can alter the trajectory of a person's life. And they speak to a larger truth, that collecting is not just about objects, but about the human experiences and emotions those objects generate. Beyond individual stories, the 1992 penny also serves as a bridge between generations. Older collectors who have spent decades building their knowledge and collections now find themselves mentoring younger enthusiasts who are just discovering the thrill of the hunt. These intergenerational connections are vital to the future of the hobby. They ensure that knowledge is passed down, that stories are preserved, and that the love of coins continues to thrive. And at the center of many of these conversations is the 1992 close-em, a coin that sparks curiosity, invites investigation, and rewards careful observation. In the broader context of American history, the coin also reflects the technological and economic realities of its time. The early 1990s were a period of transition for the United States Mint. Advances in engraving technology, changes in production methods, and shifts in material sourcing all shaped the coins of that era. The transition from the memorial reverse to the more detailed and artistically ambitious designs of later decades was already underway. The 1992 cent, with its subtle variety, sits at the crossroads of these changes, a tangible artifact of a minting process in evolution. This is why numismatics is often described as the history you can hold. Each coin is a snapshot of its time, a tiny, portable piece of the past. And rare varieties like the 1992 close-em offer an even more intimate connection. They are not just representations of a period, they are anomalies within that period, windows into the hidden complexities of the minting process, and reminders that even the most routine systems can produce extraordinary results. Looking forward, the cultural and financial significance of this coin is likely to continue growing. As more collectors enter the market and as more people learn about its story, demand will inevitably increase. But supply will not. The number of known examples is finite, and it's unlikely that many more will be discovered, especially in high grades. This imbalance between supply and demand is the fundamental driver of value in any collectible market, and it is particularly pronounced here. For the rarest varieties, prices often follow a steep upward trajectory once they become widely known. The 1992 close-em cent is poised to follow this pattern. Auction houses are already preparing for this possibility. Major firms monitor population reports from grading services closely, and when a top-condition example of a rare variety surfaces, they know the bidding will be intense. The record price for a Lincoln cent, currently held by a 1943 copper penny that sold for over $1.7 million, could be challenged in the years ahead. And under the right circumstances, if a 1992 close-em in an ultra-high grade, with impeccable provenance and media attention, were to come up for sale, a multi-million-dollar price is not only possible, it's likely. And as with all record-setting collectibles, once that psychological barrier is broken, higher prices often follow. But even if the $67 million dream remains just that, a dream, the symbolic power of the number is undeniable. It speaks to the boundless potential of rarity, the way value can transcend face value and even material worth. It captures the imagination. And in the world of collectibles, imagination is often the most powerful force of all. It drives people to search, to collect, to compete, and to dream. Ultimately, the story of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin is a story about transformation. It's about how a simple, everyday object can transcend its humble beginnings and become something extraordinary. It's about how human error can lead to beauty, how patience can lead to discovery, and how curiosity can lead to fortune. It's about the way history, art, economics, and human emotion can converge in something as small and unassuming as a penny. And perhaps most importantly, it's a story that's still being written. New discoveries will be made. New collectors will enter the hunt. New records will be set. And each of those events will add another chapter to the saga of the 1992 cent. One day, someone might look back at this moment, at this period in the coin's history, and see it as just the beginning of a much larger story. And they will marvel at how something so small could hold such enormous meaning. So, as we continue this journey, let us not see the 1992 penny merely as a collectible. Let us see it as a reminder to look closer, to question assumptions, to embrace curiosity. Let us see it as a symbol of possibility, proof that extraordinary things can come from the most unexpected places. And let us celebrate it not just for what it is, but for what it represents, the unbreakable human desire to seek, to discover, and to cherish the rare and the remarkable. As we continue to explore the remarkable story of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin, it is worth placing it in a broader, global context. Coin collecting is not unique to the United States. It is a phenomenon that spans continents and centuries. Collectors in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East have been actively participating in auctions for decades, often seeking coins that represent not only monetary value but also history, artistry, and cultural significance. In this global marketplace, a coin like the 1992 cent is remarkable because it combines American history with universal rarity. Its appeal transcends borders, languages, and even cultures, attracting attention from collectors who may never have set foot in the United States yet recognize the power of rarity and provenance. When we compare the 1992 penny to some of the most famous coins worldwide, its story holds its own. The 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle, one of the most celebrated coins in history, was struck but never officially released. Its scarcity and historical context have propelled it to auction prices in the tens of millions. The British 1937 penny with the unusual minting error, the Australian 1930 penny struck in extremely limited quantities during the Depression, and the Canadian 1921 large cent are all examples of coins that share a similar trajectory. Ordinary currency transformed into legendary artifacts due to rarity, error, or circumstance. The 1992 cent, though minted in the billions, fits this pattern precisely because of its accidental variant and the extremely limited number of known examples. It is, in a sense, America's modern equivalent of these global rarities, a coin that bridges everyday use and extraordinary value. Investment strategies surrounding rare coins like the 1992 penny have evolved considerably in recent decades. Historically, collectors relied heavily on intuition, personal knowledge, and local networks to identify promising coins. Today, technology, grading services, and global online markets have made investing in rare coins more systematic and, for some, more profitable. Professional investors look at population reports, historical auction results, grading distributions, and market trends before purchasing a coin. Coins with both rarity and high condition grades, particularly those encapsulated by PCGS or NGC, are often seen as relatively stable long-term investments. Unlike stocks or bonds, coins are tangible assets. They do not depend on the solvency of a company or government. The 1992 cent, with its finite supply, potential for future discoveries, and global appeal, ticks all the boxes for a collectible investment asset. Psychology plays an important role in this market. Collecting, after all, is not purely rational. Emotion, passion, and narrative significantly influence value. Investors and collectors alike are drawn to the story behind the coin, the rarity, the accidental creation, the human drama surrounding its discovery. When a rare 1992 close-M penny surfaces in a high-grade condition, bidders are often motivated not just by potential resale value but by the thrill of possession, the pride of owning a piece of numismatic history, and the desire to secure a symbol of status within the collecting community. This interplay between rational investment considerations and emotional attachment is one of the defining features of the rare coin market. Historical parallels further illuminate why the 1992 penny captivates so deeply. Coins with similar trajectories have repeatedly demonstrated exponential appreciation once the public becomes aware of their rarity. Consider the 1804 silver dollar, often called the King of American Coins, which changed hands for hundreds of thousands in the mid-20th century and now commands multi-million-dollar prices. Or the 1913 Liberty nickel, of which only 5 are known, a coin whose scarcity and provenance have created an aura that far exceeds its face value. The 1992 close-M cent shares key elements with these legendary coins: a tiny known population, an accidental creation, compelling provenance, and a narrative that captures imaginations. The lesson from history is clear: when scarcity, story, and condition align, values can rise far beyond what anyone might expect. Speculative future scenarios for the 1992 penny are equally fascinating. Imagine a scenario in which a previously unknown, pristine MS-70 example is discovered in an old bank roll, verified by a leading grading service, and put up for auction. Media coverage could generate worldwide attention, attracting both seasoned collectors and new enthusiasts. The combination of rarity, perfect condition, and publicity could drive bidding into record-breaking territory, potentially approaching or even surpassing the $67 million figure often speculated in numismatic circles. Such an event would not only make history within coin collecting but would also draw public fascination, inspiring documentaries, articles, and a new generation of collectors. Even more speculative, we could imagine the role of digital technology amplifying the coin's value. Imagine a global online auction with simultaneous live bidding from collectors in dozens of countries, with blockchain-based verification of authenticity and provenance. In this scenario, the market expands beyond traditional borders, and the final price reflects not only local demand but a truly global interest. The 1992 close-M cent, in such a context, could become not just a national treasure but a symbol of global collecting culture, demonstrating how a simple coin can resonate across time and space. Yet despite all these projections and financial analyses, the 1992 penny retains an almost poetic quality. It reminds us that value is not always intrinsic. Sometimes it emerges from circumstance, rarity, and human perception. It demonstrates that history is alive and accessible, that the past can touch our present in tangible ways, and that even the smallest objects can hold profound significance. A coin minted for everyday transactions becomes, through the vagaries of chance and human interest, a vessel of history, a work of art, a story, and a potential fortune. It is this intersection of ordinary and extraordinary that makes the 1992 close-M cent endlessly fascinating. Collector communities continue to foster this fascination, sharing discoveries, expertise, and stories. Online forums, social media groups, and numismatic clubs serve as knowledge hubs, where enthusiasts discuss die markers, grading subtleties, and auction results. These communities perpetuate the legacy of coins like the 1992 penny, keeping the story alive, refining authentication methods, and encouraging careful observation. For younger collectors especially, these networks provide mentorship and inspiration, ensuring that the passion for numismatics continues into the future. Ultimately, the story of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin is a reminder that extraordinary things can emerge from the most ordinary circumstances. It is a coin that challenges our assumptions, rewards curiosity, and bridges history, art, economics, and human psychology. It is a symbol of the profound ways in which small details, chance occurrences, and human attention can combine to create objects of immense cultural and financial value. And it is a story that is still being written, with each new discovery, auction, and collector experience adding another chapter to its evolving legend. As the legend of the 1992 United States 1-cent coin continues to grow, the human stories surrounding it become increasingly compelling. Collectors from all walks of life have shared moments of discovery that are almost cinematic in their unfolding. One notable example involves a retired schoolteacher from Pennsylvania, who spent decades collecting Lincoln cents purely as a hobby. She meticulously labeled and cataloged every penny she acquired, organizing them by year, mint mark, and condition. One afternoon, while examining a batch of coins she had set aside years before, she noticed something unusual. The spacing between the A and M in America on a 1992 penny was noticeably narrower than on the others. Upon further verification with a professional grading service, it turned out to be one of the rare close M varieties. That coin, once a simple item in her collection, was suddenly worth tens of thousands of dollars. More importantly, it gave her a deep sense of connection to history and a tangible reminder that patience and diligence often yield unexpected rewards. Another story comes from a young college student who began collecting coins as a way to supplement his understanding of American history. His approach was methodical. He studied die varieties, population reports, and historical minting practices. One day, while purchasing a bundle of pennies from a local coin shop, he discovered a 1992 close M cent that had been overlooked by previous owners. Although it was circulated and showed minor wear, its rarity was undeniable. After authentication, the coin sold for a significant sum, allowing him to fund his tuition and further his numismatic research. For him, the coin represented more than money. It was a bridge between academic study and tangible experience, a connection to the craftsmanship and history behind every strike of the mint. These stories are mirrored in countless auction anecdotes. At major auction houses like Stack's Bowers, Heritage Auctions, and Royal Mint sales, the 1992 close M penny has appeared sporadically, each time igniting fervor among collectors. One notable auction saw a high-grade specimen of the close M variety sell for a record-setting amount, surpassing all prior expectations. Competitive bidding included both private collectors and institutional investors, demonstrating how this small coin commands attention from a diverse and highly motivated audience. These auctions are not just about commerce. They are social and cultural events, bringing together individuals who share a deep appreciation for history, artistry, and the thrill of discovery. Technical grading insights provide another dimension to understanding the 1992 penny's significance. Grading services evaluate coins on multiple criteria: surface preservation, strike quality, luster, and eye appeal. For the 1992 close M cent, small nuances are critical. The spacing of the A and M, the clarity of the Lincoln Memorial, the presence of die marks, and the coin's coloration all factor into determining its grade. A coin in MS69 red, for example, can be worth exponentially more than a similar example graded MS66 brown. These minute differences require careful study, magnification, and often years of experience to discern, highlighting the skill and dedication inherent in serious numismatic work. Population reports from grading services add another layer of insight. They document how many coins of a particular variety and grade have been certified, providing collectors with transparency regarding scarcity. For the 1992 close M, the number of high-grade examples is extraordinarily limited, creating a condition-based rarity that drives prices higher. Collectors often study these reports closely, analyzing trends and strategizing acquisitions based on both scarcity and condition. The combination of rarity, grade, and verified provenance creates a potent mix, ensuring that the coin remains one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents in existence. Beyond technical details, the cultural significance of the 1992 penny is equally profound. It represents a period in American history marked by transition and modernization. The early 1990s were years of technological advancement, economic growth, and societal change. The penny, with its Lincoln Memorial reverse, serves as a small but enduring symbol of continuity amidst change. The close M variety, with its subtle deviation, embodies the idea that even within systems designed for uniformity, uniqueness and individuality can emerge, a concept that resonates with collectors and historians alike. Investors have increasingly recognized the penny's potential as a long-term asset. Unlike stocks or bonds, rare coins are tangible and portable, insulated from many market fluctuations. The 1992 close M cent, due to its rarity and desirability, has become a focal point for collectors seeking both historical significance and financial appreciation. Its value trajectory mirrors that of other legendary coins: initial discovery, early private sales, auction record-setting events, and eventual integration into prestigious collections or museum exhibits. This trajectory demonstrates that numismatics is not only a hobby but also a sophisticated field of investment strategy. Speculative future scenarios further elevate the coin's allure. Experts predict that as younger generations become more involved in collecting, interest in iconic varieties like the 1992 close M cent will grow. Digital platforms, online auctions, and international connectivity are expanding the market, bringing together collectors from across the globe. In a scenario where a near-perfect specimen surfaces in an unexpected location, perhaps tucked away in a forgotten row or part of an estate collection, competition for acquisition could drive prices to unprecedented levels. Media coverage, combined with social media amplification, could make such a sale a cultural phenomenon, cementing the coin's status as a legendary artifact. The psychological and emotional resonance of the 1992 penny cannot be overstated. Collectors describe feelings of anticipation, excitement, and satisfaction that rival experiences in other fields of passion or sport. Discovering a rare coin evokes a sense of mastery and accomplishment, while acquiring one through auction demonstrates both financial acumen and historical appreciation. The coin becomes a symbol not only of value but also of personal achievement, perseverance, and the joy of engaging deeply with the field of knowledge. Ultimately, the 1992 United States 1 cent coin is a microcosm of the larger numismatic world. It illustrates how rarity, history, human error, technical excellence, and cultural significance intersect to create something extraordinary. It shows that objects we often overlook can hold profound meaning, inspire intense dedication, and achieve remarkable value. And it reminds us that collecting is not merely about accumulation but about connection, to history, to craft, to community, and to the thrill of discovery. As we reach the culmination of the story of the 1992 United States 1 cent coin, it becomes clear that this tiny object is much more than its denomination suggests. Over the decades, it has evolved from a simple unit of currency into a symbol of rarity, human curiosity, historical significance, and cultural fascination. Collectors, investors, historians, and enthusiasts have all contributed to its enduring legend, and each discovery, auction, and analysis adds another layer to its complex story. On the global stage, the 1992 close M penny is increasingly recognized as one of the premier American numismatic rarities. Collectors in Europe, Asia, and other regions closely monitor U.S. coin auctions, seeking iconic pieces to add to their private collections. The coin's appeal lies not only in its scarcity but also in its narrative, an accidental variety, born from a subtle minting anomaly, that has captured imaginations across generations. When compared to rare coins from other countries, such as the British 1937 penny, the Canadian 1921 large cent, or the Australian 1930 penny, the 1992 close M stands out for its combination of modern minting, historical continuity, and extreme scarcity within an otherwise common year. Experts in numismatics often emphasize the importance of provenance and grading in establishing a coin's ultimate value. A 1992 close M cent with impeccable certification, documented ownership history, and top-tier condition can command unprecedented prices, potentially approaching or surpassing the legendary $67 million valuation often speculated in media and collector circles. High-grade examples, particularly those with full red color and strong eye appeal, are exceedingly rare, and the combination of verified authenticity and rarity makes them almost universally coveted by serious collectors and institutional investors alike. Historical context also plays a vital role in the coin's significance. The early 1990s were years of technological change at the United States Mint, including evolving die-making processes and improved quality control. The subtle spacing error in the close M variety reflects these transitional techniques, offering a window into the minting process and highlighting the ways in which even minor variations can generate extraordinary consequences decades later. Coins like this serve as tangible records of industrial history, craftsmanship, and the complexities of mass production. Collector psychology adds yet another dimension to the coin's legend. The thrill of the hunt, the meticulous study of die varieties, and the satisfaction of discovering a rare specimen all contribute to the emotional and cultural value of the 1992 penny. Stories of discoveries in forgotten coin jars, estate sales, and unsearched bank rolls illustrate the human element, patience, observation, and the thrill of unexpected success. These narratives resonate deeply, reminding us that the value of a collectible is not purely financial but also experiential and symbolic. Investment potential remains a key factor in the coin's modern significance. Rare coins offer a tangible, portable, and historically backed asset class that is distinct from traditional financial instruments. As digital platforms and international markets expand access to rare coins, the 1992 Close M cent is well positioned to remain both a collector's treasure and a high-value investment. Economic conditions, scarcity, and global competition all contribute to its appreciation potential, while the compelling story and historical relevance ensure enduring demand. Philosophically, the 1992 penny teaches lessons that go far beyond numismatics. It reminds us that extraordinary things can emerge from ordinary circumstances, that human errors can become celebrated rarities, and that attention to detail and curiosity can unlock hidden value. It demonstrates that history is alive, tangible, and often hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to notice. And it symbolizes the intersection of art, craft, commerce, and culture, a convergence that elevates a simple piece of metal into something profoundly meaningful. As the coin continues its journey through the hands of collectors, auction houses, museums, and historians, its legacy grows. Each discovery, each certified example, and each auction result adds a new chapter to its story. The 1992 Close M penny has transformed from a mundane unit of currency into a legend, a symbol, and a testament to the enduring fascination with rarity, history, and human endeavor. In conclusion, the 1992 United States 1-cent coin is far more than a penny. It is a reflection of our curiosity, our passion, and our desire to connect with the past. It is a testament to the beauty of imperfection and the power of rarity. It is a narrative woven from history, art, economics, and personal stories. And it is a reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked objects can hold immeasurable significance, inspiring awe, diligence, and wonder in those who recognize their value. As long as collectors continue to search, study, and dream, the legend of the 1992 Close M cent will endure, carrying its story forward into the future, one small coin at a time.